Yes, I did remember the Discord. Hello. Hi. MJ, you're first. Queerly, you're not first. Congratulations. Hello, welcome. I'm slightly cutting myself off today. I did remember the Discord. I posted the Discord thing up there before I even started. Um, Let me go get the peppers. Our main event today, a box of peppers. I put them in this because they fit. They didn't come in this, but they fit perfectly. Unfortunately, I can't cook them in here. I wanted to, I would love to cook them in that little thing. We're going to have to solve the vessel for cooking. Um, but yeah, I'm going to put stuff inside of them and then cook them with the stuff inside of them. Probably cook the stuff first as well. Um, how are you? How is everyone today? How's it going? I was going to go out and get ingredients, thinking, what do I need? What we stuff in the peppers? I have everything I could possibly want to put in the peppers. Um, I've got eggs. I've got blocks of cheese. I've got a special discount thingy that we're going to try out. This one. Upton's Satan Chorizo. Upton's Chorizo Satan. Which was $1. How could I resist at $1? First of all, I like chorizo. Second of all, I like Satan. Hail Satan. Also, you get like a full box. There's quite a bit of it in here. So for $1, that's quite a good deal. So we're going to try this stuff out. Chorizo has a nice strong flavor too, which should give us some nice good flavor in our stuffed peppers. Blocks of cheese, whipping cream, butter, eggs, beans. I think we're gonna try it with some kind of a pasta instead of rice. It's gonna be a time. Onions. I got so many onions. We're flush with stuff right now. It's perfect. Perfect time. I don't know how hot to roast my peppers. Let's ask the internet. If I can type. If I can type correctly, which I cannot. Yeah, that sounds about right. So we're gonna preheat the oven. Make sure there's nothing in there. Nothing in there. Preheat our oven to 350 so it's ready whenever I need it, and it can like warm up the room a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the plan. That's the plan. We're gonna start by assembling the filling, a goop, a slop that can be our filling, and then based on how much of it I end up with, I will use all of it to do peppers. We might not use all of those peppers, but we're going to try to use all of whatever filling I come up with. Starting with that brick of fake chorizo as our main flavor guide. Now it says for our thawing directions, run under cold water for 10 minutes. So that's what we're going to do. Also, I believe you can just eat it straight, as is. It's meant to be cooked, but there's no like heat to recommended temperature instruction on it. So we might give it a little taster just as is to see what flavors I'm working with. Let me know if that's annoying, the cold water sink running back there, because it's going to be going for a bit. And yeah, our ingredients here are very simple. Wheat, soy sauce, vinegar, garlic, guajillo, oregano, onion, cumin, black pepper. You know. So I'm looking forward to this being quite tasty. We're going to throw in some onion as well, for sure. Do I want to throw egg in there? We might. We might do egg on top, actually. Topping these with a little bit of egg could be funzo. I don't know why I said it like that. I don't think I've ever said the word funzo before, but here we are. And we can get out a brick of cheese. So there can be cheese in there. And in terms of pasta, I've got quite a few options over here, and I haven't picked one out for us. For some reason, I like the idea of, treat it almost like mac and cheese in a stuffed pepper, but not the flavor profile of it. So yeah, how is everyone doing today? How are you? Welcome in as the people trickle in. How's it going? How you been? We can throw beans in it. I don't know that we're going to need the beans. I don't know that we're going to need beans. That might be too much. 8 ounces of that stuff. And it doesn't really shrink up very much. Beans. Well, I have some canned beans, so I can always grab beans later if I feel like I need to bulk it up a little bit. I also wanted to test out, size-wise, some pan options. You use rice. Hi, Bookwoman. Welcome, welcome. I bet you I can easily fit 4 in here. So that should probably be our target amount. Yeah. Like so. Lop the tops off, fill them with stuff, oil the pan a little bit so they don't stick. Call it a day. Leaves us with 2 unresolved ones. Leaves us with 2 unresolved ones. I was thinking, my first instinct was orzo, the rice of pastas. We could also try a couscous. MJ, streak. I don't have anything for you to spend those 450 points on. Not a thing. MJ, 10 streams. And since I stream once a week, that's 2.5 months of streaks. Bob's here too. Hi, Bob. Welcome, welcome. How are you? We are trying to plot things out right now. Just the planning stage of things. Flemish! Oh my god. Everything's popping off. Flemish. 18 months. 18 months. You know what that is? That's almost a year. Recipe. Bookwoman. Recipe? What's that? Six months away from a year. Yep. That's how that works. We don't have a recipe. I'm making this up. I'm absolutely making this up as I go. That's starting to thaw. Does my spirit guide say I need a lid? I mean, in my head, no. Is this you trying to suggest that I should get a lid? I don't think I have a pan of appropriate size that also has a lid. Oh my god, Jen! Jen! Ugh, the running water is throwing me off. Jen! 12 months! That is. Not accurate. 29 months. That's what you did. You said 12 months. And then I read that. And then I said it out loud. 29 months! Good Lord. Good Lord, Jen. Why? What are you doing? 29 months is almost a year. You're just a couple months short of a year. The red peppers, these 6 red peppers were $1. They were in a dollar bag together. So yes, there was a good deal on those. I've also got 1 yellow pepper. They're a little bit wrinkly, but they're still like stable. That one's a little, maybe a little on the soft side. So they've just got a little bit of a wrinkle from drying out. Peppers are one of the things I most consistently am able to find deals on, specifically at Woodman's, because and I've asked them about this, when the new peppers come in, they take all of the peppers that they already have, bag them up, and put them on clearance, regardless of what they look like. So if they have way more than they sell, they end up putting out some pretty much fresh ones. That one's a little on the squishy side. But I was thinking of roasting them up in this pan, right like so. We could dice up the yellow one and throw it in with the onion, and then it would be in the filling, but I think we don't need a lot of extra filling. Anyways, that's my current plan. I'm gonna top these guys, fill them with stuff, put the lids back on, and roast them. So the lids are gonna be the peppers lids. And other than that, I'm just making stuff up. We're just making stuff up. Our main event, flavor-wise, is this stuff. Also a deal. Which... What? Oh my god! Wow. I only very, very rarely see strawberries in the bargain thing, and they always look terrible. So I don't get them. I only got them once. I dried them. They dry pretty well, actually. It's also not exactly strawberry season, so that's for sure going to be impacting prices. I wonder. I probably could. I don't really want to fire up the magic pot right now. Right meow. We're thawing this in the sink. That's why the sink is running. I turned it off because everyone was subbing. You kicked off a hype train. You guys are always doing that. Anyways, I think I'm going to. You know what? No, I want to use a fancy pasta. We're doing noodle. We're doing something crazy. Why not? What even are these things? There. We're using La Molisana Fusilli Corti Bucatini. We're getting out a pot. We're filling it with water. We're going to boil that. There you go. Decision made. Was that so hard? You guys are always so indecisive. Okay, and we're still running cold water on the Satan. Hail Satan. Okay, let's get that boiled up. You like orzo? I also like orzo. But I'm committing to this. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'll go back to orzo. You convinced me. You talked me out of it. Sigh. We're never going to eat the fusilli. Deep sigh. Let's get chopping this onion, though. For sure need this onion. Oop. Definitely want to use that onion. It's trying to sprout. Which you don't want your onion to sprout when you got it in storage. That's not great. As Sonic the Hedgehog once said, that's no good. So we're going to eat this before it do. Yeah, $23 for strawberries is a lot, but also it's January, which is not strawberry season. Have you thawed yet? Oh, yeah, actually you are. There's a little bit of a hard nugget right in the middle, but that stuff is looking pretty thawed. Ryuya! Hello! Happy New Year! Well, New Year. I hope your New Year is happy. The New Year is kicking off in ways. How's it going, Ryu? What's up? Okay. Onion. So I guess what I would do is onion, bell pepper, celery. But the bell pepper is going to be the outside. And I don't really want the texture of celery in this. So I might end up mixing some parsley into the filling to take the place of the celery that I'm not putting into it, if that makes any sense. Um, I'm going with orzo in lieu of rice. And it looks like we're heading for Mexican flavors. We've got some cheese up there. We are trying out Upton's Naturals, which I got on sale there for $1. Hail Satan. And it looks like this out of the package. We just thawed it in the sink. And I wanted to give it a taste. It does not say that it needs to be heated through before eating, which makes sense for Satan. It's already pre-cooked. Just heated through for flavor. So I'm going to give it a taste. That left rear burner is giving off a little bit of a smell that I don't really like. But I want to see what we're working with. So, it's chewy. It definitely has the chew and the bounce of a very worked through Satan. It's not giving me strong chorizo-y vibes. It's giving me like Taco Bell meat flavor, but with a really like toothsome texture. It pushes back. It's good. It could use a little bit of spice. Wow, I'm actually surprised at how much that tastes like Taco Bell beef. I'm kind of impressed by how much that tastes like Taco Bell beef. I think we're going to need a larger frying pan for it. I'm also a little worried about it sticking. Wheat proteins have a habit of maybe sticking a little more than manimal proteins. And except for the fact that I'm planning on adding cheese, it looks like we're headed for a veggie meal. This would be our only meat product, so it's low fat. I want to add some fat to it. The best one would be a little bit of lard. That would give us that flavor, but would kind of defeat the point. What do you guys think? I feel like a little bit of lard. I'm not really. I didn't go into this with the intent of being a veggie meal, a vegan meal. So, and I just think a little bit of lard is what would enhance our flavor in just the right way. So that's what we're gonna do. It doesn't take much. probably too much. That's a more appropriate amount. Plunk. Get that melting. Put away our lard. We want... Oop, my garlic is sprouting. My garlic is sprouting aggressively. I guess we're using a bunch of garlic because it's trying to sprout aggressively, and that's a sign to use it. Oh. We're not using a whole head of garlic in this, but I do want to get the sprouty ones all out of the sproutiest ones all out of there. The rest of them can go into, I guess I'll put them in cold storage and use them up from there because I don't want them to sprout this much. These two with the really long sprouts have gone too far, and I definitely want to get them used. So, for sure using those guys today. Let's move that. These smaller ones can just be, oh no, I got the paper half off. Without the paper, garlic kind of starts to go off faster. So these ones that I've already broken into, we're going to have to I'm gonna put them in a bag and put them in the fridge, and the cold in the fridge should slow them down. We'll just have to remember to use them because now that they're out of their papers, they're not going to keep super well. They're all trying to sprout, which isn't great. God, other than the fact that it's sprouting, this is a great head of garlic. Nice big full cloves, pretty easy to peel. So how's everybody doing for the new year so far? I know that world events are going pretty terribly, but we don't need to talk about those. We're all aware of those. How are you? I want to know how you are. I also want to know what you're having for dinner or breakfast or lunch or whatever time zone you're in. We had somebody doing midnight snacks a couple times, I think. Oh, God. Yeah, other than the fact that that was... Why are all my alliums sprouting? They must have heard it was the new year. Other than the fact that it's sprouting, that was excellent. And those opened up beautifully. Excited to see how terrible 2026 is going to be. Well, we're off to a really, really rough start. Just right out the gate. Our water is boiling aggressively. So I guess that means I should put my orzo in. orzo. How much orzo do I want? Slightly underfilled cup is how much orzo I am getting. Slide to the left, not to the middle. Slide to the left. Orzo in the pot. Salt in the pot. We did settle on lard. There's a little bit of lard in this pan. It's it's hot. It's hotting up too. One of the things about cooking with lard is it makes absolutely no noise as it heats up on its own. It just melts. So you can greatly overheat your lard if you don't pay attention to it. I've done that a few times where I put it in there expecting it to behave like butter or olive oil or something and start to smoke or sizzle or something. And it just doesn't. It just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. It's excellent for frying. I'm taking the lid off of that because that is trying to boil over. It's excellent for frying. You can get it super, super hot before it does anything at all. Chicken wings and tomatoes. Pan-fried garlic shrimp for dinner last night, dusted with Asiago. That sounds very good. I've been told in the past that you shouldn't combine aged cheeses with seafood. But you know what? I disagree. And I think that sounds great. We're going to take the sprout off of those as well. Join me over yonder. We may as well do 3 cloves of garlic. We'll take out the and the little baby one. I was also hoping for a quiet year, but you know what? I wasn't expecting one, and I don't think we're gonna get one. I think we're gonna get just a bad time. I think we're gonna get another year of why can't we have nice things? That was a cutting board falling over. I'm going with chunky garlic today. Which means we will have to give it more sauté than when you crush it very finely, but it should give us some fun garlickiness in the end. Since we used quite a bit of it, yeah, I'm not. Everything's gone to hell. Everything's gone to hell. We'll take those garlics that I didn't use immediately. Grab a sandwich bag, throw them in there. Throw those in the fridge. And just have to remember to use them post-haste because now they're peeled. It's going to be quite a year. Yep. Oh, you're hoping for a quite a year. Mm-hmm. 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 Let's get back over there, yonder. Push around. Oh, heck, we're just going to use this. Make sure nobody's sticking on the bottom of my pasta. Push around the onions. In with our garlic. Let it get started a little bit. I don't think we're going to use any of the dried peppers today. I think we're going to use... Making it from scratch takes a while. Flemish. I've done it before too. You don't get nearly as much as you think based on how much flour you start with. If you start with just normal flour, you can make it from normal flour. If you use that stuff that's gluten in a bag, you can get way more, but it costs a lot more too. This stuff is already crumblies. It's already in little crumbles. Now, I actually don't remember how much this stuff was before the discount. It's probably not. Oh, there's one. We should do taste testing, like veggie versions of things. I don't know if I can do a whole like tier list. That was a lot, but there's a couple of them that I've been seeing. Are like, oh, that's interesting. If that's good at all, I would love it. Ghetto Pino. Happy New Year to you as well. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. The one I keep seeing is there's a veggie. It's not a Spam brand, but it's right next to the Spams, and it's clearly trying to be a Spam. It's a veggie Spam. It's a vegan lunch meat loaf. And it has accomplished it somehow. They have done the thing that, if they are good, should give them a winning position. They're cheaper than the original. Their product, undiscounted, is cheaper than a can of Spam. And that's always the trouble with your veggie alternatives, is that they're more expensive. So there's not an incentive for people who don't really care about the vegginess of them to go for them. I like to taste test those things, but oftentimes they're not good enough to go back to, because I'm not really invested in vegan food. But if they get one that's actually like good and cheaper, that's a place to win. And that one is also Seitan based, which I think is probably a good route to go with, because Seitan is a lot easier to produce cheaply than some of the more complex ones, those highly processed pea proteins and stuff. Get off my spatula, onions. I liked the sriracha. The problem is, I've got a lot of sriracha. It was too much to do all at once. I'm not equipped for utilizing the excess from something that big, especially for something like sriracha, which we are going to use some today in this, because this doesn't have any spice to it. Uh, uh, so I'm trying to think about things that I can taste test that I will also be able to use up. I've been trying to aggressively use the mayos because I know those will go off soonest. But I'm still working through sriracha, even though I threw a couple of them away. I'm still working through srirachas from the taste test. I haven't bought any new ones, so I haven't been able to act on my own recommendations thus far. Crawdalt! Hello! Maybe you can help with the fridge cleaning? Do you want a lot of sriracha? Our orzo is definitely cooked by now. Orzo cooks faster than most pastas. We've worked down the srirachas. I've gotten through most of the mayo ones, and we did throw a couple of them away for just being gross. After the big taste test. But that's why I haven't done a taste test, is I'm hesitant to dive in on something without a concept of where I'm going to go with it. And some of the things that I wanted to try, some of the things I thought were good ideas, have so freaking many varieties that kind of makes it hard. We're going to throw that right in there. I've turned the burner off, but we will utilize the residuals and the drippiness of the orzo to try to concoct a Oh, the orzo is actually only just al dente, which is perfect. I thought I was going to overdo it because I was kind of rambling, but no, it's on point. And as to the dollar store one not being very good, I went to every one of the local dollar stores around here. None of them had a store brand sriracha. They all had other brands that I was able to find other places. They had the same discount brands as other places. They didn't have their own. It's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a minute since the big, like, everybody's doing sriracha all the time. Um, some oregano. We're gonna stir this into itself. I'm also going to transfer this to a bowl. I may have done too much orzo, but that's fine. But that's fine. This is the kind of thing that'll be very easy to just Like, fry an egg, slap it on top of that. That's a meal. You had no more than the real one, the hoi fong. Yeah. I mean, I've still got. Oh, I left that light on. Shouldn't leave that light on. My halo. We've still got. The one I just used today was Hy-Vee brand. That's a local grocery store. Well, it's a regional grocery store, but there's one in town here. Our winner, if you can find it, this stuff. I use it sparingly because I have so many of them. I'm still working through Hoi Fong. Like I said, I've got almost through all of the mayos because I didn't trust that they were going to last super long. Some of them I'm ending up. There are some that I've kind of changed my tune on. I'm not sure exactly where they landed, but in some cases the bottles have thrown me off. Like, oh, I hate this one because the bottle is not good. I think I tossed one out recently because I was just like, I have so many of these, and this one is just not living up, even though I don't think I rated it poorly. Oh, they're all in the corner over here. Oh, and I still got. I didn't throw out the bad one. I didn't throw out our F. One of them was so thick. It was like almost gelatinous from the thickeners that have been put in it, and then the bottle had a really skinny nozzle, so it comes out as like a toothpaste. It's really not appealing. We are opening up this cheese. Well, I should ask you guys, but like the flavor was fine, and I think if I'm remembering it, I'd have to go back and check. My taste test rated it pretty well. I have two kinds of cheese. I hear a siren, but it kept going. I have two kinds of cheese. We have Colby, or we have Cheddar Jack, not Colby Jack. I am inclined to go with Colby. Jack is a good melter. Cheddar, not as much. It's $2, but it's marked down from $3.35. It was already kind of an inexpensive cheese. I mean, I'm leaning towards the Colby. Because these were, as the thing says, sale price reduced. This wasn't clearance, get it the heck out of our store levels yet. It was just market. I've also got some Gruyere. We could throw some Gruyere in there if you wanted as a little treat. But yeah, Colby's gonna be our main cheese. You like Gruyere, Ghetto? Beano? Ghetto Beano? I'm always unsure whether I should be saying Beano or Ghetto Beano. And thus I often waffle around and say all of the above. I can throw in a little bit of the Gruyere. It'll give us a little bit of character. If you're not familiar with with Colby and how it is and how it be, It's from Colby, which is here in Wisconsin. It is essentially identical to cheddar cheese, except that it has not gone through the cheddaring process, which is a process that the people of Cheddar invented and named after themselves for their cheese that they also invented and named after themselves. Which is the stage where you press it quite firmly and get a lot of the moisture out of it. It's what results in cheddar cheeses being quite crumbly. It is important for the aging of them. So you can get those aged sharp cheddars. You don't really do that with Colby because it doesn't want to age because it's much wetter, but it also means that it melts a lot better. Uncheddared cheeses melt a lot better. But otherwise, it is up to that point when they press it, basically the same cheese. So Colby is like a high moisture, unaged cheddar. Cheddar with good melting properties. Crawdaunt. Crabominable. Wants a moisten. We gotta spread this out so it can steam off a little bit. So the cheese doesn't immediately all liquefy when I throw it in there. Yeah, Crawdaunt wants a moisten. Moist. Yeah, and that's why it behaves so well for a grilled cheese, for a melting cheese. Whereas for cheddar, because it is lower in moisture and has that age, even the young ones have some age put into them. They tend to want to split rather than just melt more easily, more readily. Moisten's one of those ones where I really can't make an automatic thing out of it because I just gotta do it myself, right? You just gotta do it yourself. Anyways, we're adding the cheese to the mixture here. I hope you've got Colby in Canada. I mean, it came from Colby, but it's not exclusively like limited to Colby. Should we throw any more flavor components into this? The cheese is melting in to the hot orzo. I think we need more cheese. I think we need some more cheese. So this is the Gruyere. Gruyere end cut, which makes it kind of difficult to work with. They're like weird irregular slabs bound together in a shrink wrap. We can throw something green in there. I was thinking of throwing some parsley in. Remember that it's going to be inside of the red peppers, and we're not going to see a lot of it. But let's... I could throw parsley. I could throw... no tomato. I have added no tomato to this. I don't think I'm going to either. I don't think that's the direction I want to take this. I have both parsley and green onion. The green onions are a little bit wilty, which would be fine throwing them in the mix. Throw in our Gruyere. So we now have a Colby Gruyere mix. Interesting. Well, welcome. It's also kind of interesting because I am going for Mexican flavors, but we're not including tomato. I was thinking of serving it with some salsa verde, which would also be green. But that's not tomato based, that's tomatillo based. We're also going to taste this before I put it into any such pepper. With an eye towards the flavors of the pepper going to be important to balancing out the flavor. Oftentimes, when I have stuffed peppers, my complaint is that they taste too much like bell pepper. The bell pepper is not incorporated into the flavors. It's kind of like, dang, bell pepper. So I want this to be something that when I taste it, I'll be like, that could use some bell pepper. It's very creamy, cheesy. It needs something. I know I put sriracha in it, but I'm also going to put in some Valentina, which is a much more acid-forward hot sauce. It needs a little bit of acidity and a little bit more spice. Black pepper's a good idea. I like Valentina. As Mexican hot sauces, hot salsa picante go, I quite like Valentina. It's I think it's a good. It hits that realm of like a Frank's for me, where you can kind of throw it in stuff. I actually find it a little bit harsh on its own as an actual like finished topping sauce because it is quite acidic. I think it's more acidic than a tapatio or a Cholula, but it's in that same realm of that kind of flavor. It's kind of like if you crossed tapatio with like Crystal, if that makes sense. I'm pretty sure the black one is marketed as being spicier. Okay, we're gonna throw something green in there. Because that was a good call. And it's gonna be a bunch of parsley. That bunch of parsley. Also, those two because they fell out the bag. And that one because it also fell out the bag. Ooh, I think we're going to use this scallion as well because it's real gnarly looking. And this one, which is less gnarly looking, but still a little bit gnarly looking. Oop, and that one. Okay. Cholula green. I don't think I've had that one. I'm not familiar. Yeah, the Chipotle ones are very non-traditional, but they're so tasty. Uh, I should try all the. Since I did sriracha, no, I can't. I can't get more. I can't get more hot sauces. I'll never see. I'll never see the end of hot sauce if I commit to more hot sauce. I was gonna say I should try all the Mexican hot sauces. You know what? The one I keep looking at in the store when I'm like, I should taste test all of the. I should taste test all of the pepperoni pizzas. And I've to the point of kind of formulating a plan of how I could accomplish such a thing because there's a lot of them. Uh, there's so many of them. It would be a year long it would be a year long project where I would do like one a week. I still think I'd get through them all doing them one a week for a year long project. There's a lot of them, yo. Okay, stems off. This bit. Bunch it up. Hit them with the knife. Toss them in the thing. At one point, someone, I believe it was Rayuya, suggested instant oatmeals. And there I had the opposite problem. There's only like, unless I'm going for all the different flavors, there's only like 3 brands I could find. They all have lots of flavors, but they're kind of just the same couple of brands. Whenever he moves out, he'll order a pizza from all the pizza places and then find out which one's the best one. Makes sense if you eat a lot of pizza. And the thing is, I do eat a lot of pizza, but I make a lot of pizza. And, like, taste testing all the frozen pizzas isn't really cooking. I don't know. I want to do another taste test. Maybe a little bit of a less of an ambitious one than sriracha. And I'm just trying to settle in on what that's going to be. Also, I think taste test content might play better on YouTube than it does on Twitch. Uh, just as a general feature. Please do tell. Is it all the bottled waters? Box cakes. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. There's a lot of them, and each one takes a while. And you got to add stuff to them. I did actually look at box mac and cheeses as a possibility. There's way more of those than I thought. I looked at all the different chicken nuggets, just the nuggets. And there's a ton of those. Way more than I thought. They were hidden all over the store. They were like in 3 different sections of the store had different chicken nuggets. Bottled water. I don't like bottled water. I think the idea of bottled water is dumb, and I really don't want to do bottled water. Oops, and I walked right into the fridge. Walked directly into the fridge. The frozen fries, that's a reasonable possibility. There aren't just a crap ton of those, and the extra can stay frozen, and is a thing that I could like take to a party and then use up. We're kind of locked into sort of things that I feel like I can use as a sticking point. Let's pack away the cheese. Ooh, frozen dumplings. Ooh. Box cakes would be interesting. I feel like that's the kind of thing that I would have to do if and when I ever hit it big. Because you need like a crew to help you consume the excess. When you see multi-million viewer XYZ on YouTube do a big taste test like that, the crew eats a lot of the extra. Okay, pepper time. The time of pep. Come on. No, that's the problem with them being a little bit soft, is they... we're going to take the little knife to trim out that extra. That's pretty good. And that's pretty good. And then we take our stuff and we get it closer to us. And we load it in there. And we really push it in. And we do the next one. So when your peppers get a little bit on the wrinkly side, what often will happen is because they aren't like quite sturdy anymore. They'll want to flex instead of cutting, so you'll have to like start it with the point of the knife. Yeah, for things that are non-perishable, that's definitely an option. The trouble is, of course, a lot of that stuff's been opened, so you can give it directly to people, but you can't like give it to a place because they'll want sealed goods. I have at times gone to the neighbors and been like, "Hey, I got a whole bunch of extra of this. You want some?" And every once in a while, I'll make something specifically for a group. Also, I'm not exactly in the budget space to be like buying things not for my own use. I kind of depend on left depend on eating the leftovers of this to offset some of the costs for myself. Um, the curses of being on the small end, the small fish end of this ecosystem with you guys, the other small fishes. Knock the no, I gotta really knock the seeds out. Get those seeds out. There's a couple of seeds. Don't wanna knock out of this one. Good enough. A pepper seed's not gonna kill me. Okay. I am going to go back and top them all off. We're just getting them all started. And we'll trim away the edges of the lids too. Because there's a lot of seeds in these lids. Everything gets more expensive. Yeah. You might not have noticed, but we haven't used beef on this channel in a minute. Uh, y'all, we've been priced out of beef. Even the discount beef, even the discount beef is like, oh man, that's expensive. Levels of expensive. So I've just kind of given up on it. We've got a little bit in the freezer still from the before times, but new is not forthcoming on that front. This is too much. I've never been a huge beef eater, but I'd enjoyed it sometimes. Not these days. It's too much. It's too expensive. Okay. Okay, that's our fourth pepper, fourth and final pepper. With them all started, I can arrange them in the pan. And they'll all stand up nicely. And then we can top them all off with more of the stuff. We lost some of the stuff at the bottom. That's fine. Cheese on the tops. We're gonna cook them with the lids on for the starters. But I guess we'll see what they look like. Ryu. But we cleaned up the pepper hats so that they can go on top of these. Let's see. Parents resorted to buying a cow a year and freezing the beef. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Kind of weird how we just killed the beef industry. Huh. That one doesn't want to line up real well, but like so. And for safety's sake, I'm going to run a little bit of oil in the bottom of the pan. Yes, I've noticed that too. Other meats that were previously like, oh, that's way more expensive, are suddenly not way more expensive. They're just as expensive as they were, but they haven't gone up, or at least they haven't gone up at nearly the same pace. I remember when beef caught up to bison. That was a crazy moment. Uh, this, this is going in the oven. There it is. It's in the oven. Oof, $7 a pound. Wings are often the most expensive thing around here too. I go for, I go for chicken thighs. I know you don't like chicken thighs. I go for the thighs because they're often an off-cut. I, of course, am always bargain hunting. For some reason, I'm able to find tenders reasonably priced, but whole breast is very expensive. And then we freeze as much of it as we can. We use the vacuum packer, freeze stuff, come back to it later. I don't know how long it's going to be in there. I have no real concept of how long it's supposed to be in there. I'm just pulling up a random stuffed peppers recipe, and it wants them to be roasted for an hour. Nonsense. Nonsense. We're not doing that. You buy chicken quarters and cut them in half. I saw it was leg quarters. And they were like, they were super marked down. They were incredibly marked down. So I mean, that's what you do is you hunt for something that's on a seasonal sale or something, and you freeze it. Here's one that we can work with later. 50-cent sausages. Turkey sausage. Post-Thanksgiving turkey sausage. I obviously didn't pass those up. That price was insane. The $1 thing we're using today. We just have to not forget about them because I've got this one that was only $3, but we forgot about it, and I opened one of these, and it was a little bit on the not so good side. The vacuum seal isn't perfectly good on it, and it's been in there a while. But yes, getting whole chickens and breaking them down, or the hind quarters, because they always want to take the wings and the breasts, and then they end up with these back halves. And if they don't want to process them, then they'll sell them to you more cheaply as just the back end. I gobbled it up. You got it. You understand. You understood the assignment and delivered. We got a little bit of this stuff over here left. We actually have enough that if I did the other two peppers, I think I could stuff them quite generously as well. Yeah, I was looking at one of those pork loin long guys, because you could just section that up and freeze portions. Like, that's, hey, do you notice we're talking like preppers and like the people did during the Great Depression or any economic depression. I wonder why that is. Do I have any puff? I don't have any puff pastry. No. I have tortilla. I'm not worried about the excess. The excess can be used for whatever. Um, crack an egg on top of that. That's a meal, frankly. mm, I got you beat by 2 years. In late 2007, I was sitting in my dorm room with my roommate, and we were looking at the news, and there had not yet been a financial collapse. Um, and we looked at each other, and we're like, oh shit, this is going to be really bad. And then it was really bad. He was studying history at the time, and political science. And boy, the markers of a impending major financial catastrophe were like more obvious than you could possibly imagine. It was like living through the history book. And then it came true. That was fun. That was fun. I'm going to pack the extra stuff here into a dish, into one of these here dishes. You know what? I'm also going to take this opportunity to say, I suppose I could stuff. I suppose yeah, I could stuff these guys and then freeze them uncooked, and then cook one of them from frozen. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. We'll do that. We won't dirty up this container. We'll do that. We will turn these two into excess. Or into future dinners. The buffet index. Like Warren Buffet? I knew what you meant. um, the ratio of the stock market to the GDP. Yeah, the stock market is not in a good place. It's really high, but it shouldn't be, and that's a problem. And the things that are pushing it up are really bubbly and volatile, which is also a problem. And we keep heaping more of those bubbly, volatile things into it. Oh, MJ, you're falling asleep. Good night, MJ. Thank you so much for being here, sticking around. Good night, sweet prince. Good night. I feel like we've gotten more Europeans than the last time when I tried doing a early in the day stream. So we might this year might be the year to try that again. Something a little earlier for the people who can't be here late. But yeah, that AI sure is a bubble. It sure looks exactly like a bubble in every way. It sure looks like all the big players in that market are just literally investing the same money in each other in a big circle. Um, Surely that's sustainable. But yeah, the stock market, futures trading in the stock market is a fundamental breaking of the concept of investment. We still call it investment, but we shouldn't. It's speculation. And that's a problem. It's gambling. The whole economy is based on gambling. Even more so now. If you've been paying attention to those we're totally not gambling prediction market sites. Yeah. Totally not just straight up gambling. Wow, there's just actually the perfect amount of stuff in here to fill 6 peppers. That worked out great. All right, we kind of got off on a topic about talking about the current really bad state of the economy. It's in a bad place. um, oh yeah, they're advertising on Twitch. I saw an ad for them. It was 100% AI generated ad. Um, Here on the old Twitch.tv. That was before I even knew what they were, and that put me off of them. And then when I found out what they were, I was not surprised. Well, that filled those guys up just about perfectly. And then we could pop the lids on them, but I kind of think that I don't want them lidded for freezing. We'll just discard the lids. Uh, but then those guys can just get packed and frozen. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do with it. We're going to freeze them like this, so that when they're then solid, I can shrink freeze them, vacuum freeze them, or vacuum pack them. So we're going to start them frozen here. I'm going to pitch the lids, because I don't need the lids. And then I guess we're going to snack on the remainder here. I don't think I'm going to put the cling wrap on them, because they're only going to be exposed for like an hour or something in there. I just want them to firm up to the point where I can lay them on their side and the stuff doesn't all fall out. And then I'm going to put them in shrink plastic. If they were going to be in there overnight, then yes, I think they would dry out. But maybe I'll forget about them. In fact, maybe I'll forget about them is a reasonable argument to do that. I actually have a thing for this now. We can use this. It was a Christmas gift. These are sized silicone clingy things. You kind of push them on the edge and they stick in place. No, you kind of stretch them and they stick in place. Yeah, you kind of stretch them and they stick in place. And form a seal. And this is my first outing with them, so we'll find out how they work. No, we're not. They're in that just so that they can firm up to the point where I can then chuck them in a. Because I've got a vacuum pack thing, but this stuff is loose enough that if I lay it on its side, I think it's going to all fall out. So I want them to just firm up a little bit in the freezer. But yeah, these things, they're not. They're pretty stretchy. Probably could have gotten that one over if I really stretched it. But yeah, so haven't actually given these a test drive yet. So, and they come in this convenient storage box that should replace the need for cling wrap toppers. We can try it with bread. One of those is quite large, so I bet I could get it over my big glass bowl, and we could do bread with it, and I could have a reusable watertight bread topper. I'm just going to eat the remainder of this. There's definitely not enough to save now. But yeah, so these things, the idea is great. The box here that they come in is pretty nice for keeping them organized, and they should go a long way towards not using nearly as much plastic. It got cold. But it's very cheesy. I am pretty hungry too, so. I'm not sure how long to leave those in there. All the stuff inside of them is cooked, so it's just a matter of getting the peppers softened up. And for topping, at the end, my homemade salsa verde. Salsa verde being the, oh, I really like salsa verde, especially with eggs. It's sharp, it's acidic, it's a little bit spicy. I didn't make mine very spicy, but it's got a good amount of acidity and brightness. Ooh, ooh. We definitely made that stuff a little bit on the spicier side. Also, salsa verde is, I made this with you guys. You've seen this one. I think I literally made that jar with you guys. It's really easy to make. We'll make it again sometime. My oven is chirping. My peppers are chirping. That's fun. We got a little bit of time to kill, I guess. Gonna put some things away. Oh, did I ask what's everyone having for dinner? I did because I got some answers. I know. We're still kind of busy at work. Hoping the oven was dying. Yeah, something's bubbling. I heard a little hiss, and then I heard a little like. I bet you something leaked out into the pan, and is bubbling off the bottom of the pan. We're still kind of busy at work, but it is definitely calming down. Busyness at work interrupts my ability to plan more grandiose things. If and when it does chill out, I hope to try some grandiose things. And as I mentioned a little bit ago, maybe some different times. What I'm saying is I need to get off my butt when I'm sitting at home and not just sit a lot. Set myself up and do something else. Yeah, I bet the cheese is leaking, or potentially the lids might be expressing moisture because they're more exposed to the heat than the rest of it. Ray said recommended putting some cheese on top and griddling the whole thing. That's a pretty good idea, honestly. That's a pretty good idea, honestly. And it's already in a cast iron, so I can just throw that under the grill, under the broiler, to as the Brits call it, the grill. We can think about a plate while I'm waffling around here. We're going to want to cut one of them in half, so we need room on the plate to do that. I'm hoping for some melty cheese in the finished product. The peppers are all red. The filling is kind of an orangey color with little green speckles. I don't have any new plates, so we're working with usual plate options. a light color. Well, the white plate with the blue rim is the classic light color one. We also do have the white squares and the crazy plate with the lines as options. I think the crazy plate with the lines might be too big. I actually think our white with the blue rim being a slightly smaller plate will feel less sparse if I just cut one of the peppers. I think I would have to serve 2 peppers to make this plate feel utilized. It sure smells like roasted peppers in there. I'm hoping that the cast iron will help us get some little like blackened bits. I did this once before in a loaf pan where I kind of lined them up. Completely different fillings, but I kind of lined them up. And the peppers have the same problem I always have with the peppers, is they feel undercooked. Even though they're tender, I just kind of wish they got more overcooked a little bit. I guess I want them to kind of char a little bit. We mixed some green onions in there. My chive, we're in January. The chive is hanging on. I'm not really confident in taking substantial cuttings, but I could probably take a little bit off of my window box chive. Let me check on it. No, I do not feel confident cutting anything off of the window box chive. It needs its little leaflets to survive the winter. I do have a fresh green onion in the window that could be cut. Just the green part. We could also add a little bit of parsley. There's parsley on the inside, but we could add a little bit of extra parsley on top. Those are definitely options. The chive really kind of shuts itself down in the winter, even though it survives. So I'm not gonna cut. No cilantro, but we do have parsley. Probably err towards parsley, personally. Because I think it'll roll. I think the green onions will want to roll off in our garnish. I haven't been looking at how long that's been in there. Not at all. Not even a little bit. Didn't look at the clock when I put it in there. Not looking at it now. No clue how long it's been. They smell, I can smell like a little bit of roast pepper smell. They're still kind of just bright red. I think I'm gonna let them go a little bit longer while I work on garnish. But yeah, they're definitely edible. Well, they were edible at the beginning because everything was cooked. Some parsley. We actually have a little bit of pickled red onion that could be fun on the plate as well for a color clash. Dog adoption. Hi, Trip. I'm guessing that was meant for a different chat. Also, crap's sake, guys, purple gang much today? This is the purplest we've been. We're so purple. I've got some home pickled red onion and our salsa verde. So they're gonna be mostly red. That's gonna give us some green. That's gonna give us some green. That's gonna give us maybe some magenta. That'd be a fun pop on our plate. Let's slide over to the stove. Let's slide over to the stove. Let's find out where I put my pot holders. It's for some reason I put them in the sink. Ghetto Beano. Hi. Let's pull these out and see what we're working with. We're getting some brown crispy spots on the lids. That looks good. There's some bubbling going on at the bottoms. Honestly, the lids look pretty good. If I pop them off and take Ryu's suggestion of putting some cheese. Yep, nobody can tell if they're wrinkly anymore. Use your wrinkly peppers for something like this. If I take Ryu's suggestion of throwing some cheese on the top, we can do that now. Melt it in. We're using my mac and cheese pan as well. When I make a baked mac and cheese, I make it in this specific cast iron pan. Because it's just the right size. I don't think I've ever done that for you guys. Baked mac and cheese. But I like doing them in a cast iron pan. You know, you're right. They are screaming. I can hear them screaming. Ooh, my finger touched the side of the pepper, and it's very hot. Okay, those guys are going back in. They're going back in to melt up that cheese. I need to show off my pan collection at some point. Just tour of the jovial estate. It's almost entirely pans. I make cornbread in cast iron too, but I don't use that one that we're using there. I use this one. This one, which has a nice edge to it. Some of them have more of a rounded thing, and I like my cornbread to have more of a corner on it. This is just a. Actually, I don't know who made this one. It has no brand marks on it at all. And I don't know enough about cast iron to identify it, but it's that sort of lodge style rough texture one. My go-to one for all-purpose is this one, which is some kind of classic vintage, but again, no brand marks. It looks like it's got a little bit of a burned oil on the bottom. Didn't get that off the last time I cleaned it. I will just have to roast the heck out of it. But it does say 9-inch skillet C, so I don't know about, I don't know, but the smooth bottom on that one is super nice for cooking. It's so nice for cooking. We've shown off the slightly weirdly, I'm not very good at seasoning. Get the brand mark on that one. My Griswold griddle. If you come to rob my house, don't forget to take the Griswold griddle. I have. I've also saw somebody who did it. He got it to like a mirror shine, and then it wouldn't season. It was too polished, and he had to unpolish it with a slightly coarser grit in order to get it to season correctly. That was an interesting one. And then by the griddle, I've also got one just giant Lodge pan, which was one of the first ones I found at a thrift. All of these have been thrifted except for that Griswold pan, which was a gift. Yeah, going completely to a mirror shine, it makes the seasoning have a hard time grabbing on. And it's not just because it's super smooth, it affects how the surface oxidizes. And apparently you want just a tiny bit of black oxide. That's what gives it that rich black color. The problem he kept having was that his seasoning came out like this dark golden brown color, no matter how much he seasoned it. Because you want just a tiny bit of the black oxide to, yeah, not rust, but a little of that black oxide. That's what really makes the seasoning grip, and it's why a properly seasoned cast iron pan is that deep, rich black color. It's specifically black because of the black oxide, which I can't remember the exact. It's iron. Oh, I used to know that. And then I've also got little tiny guy. This little tiny guy. He was in the other room. He's smooth. He's a. If I can catch the light. Catch the light. Wagner. We don't use him very often, but he was only like $2-3. Or he was that little guy was real cheap. Ooh, a cookie pan. Ooh, that's a good idea. I never know what to use that little guy. He doesn't have a good enough nonstick to do an egg in. That's a good idea. One little stovetop cookie. That's a good idea. We should try that sometime. Anyways, that's all the ones that are kind of like out here. I've also got that. I've got one of those square ones with the grill lines. I hate that thing. I hate it so much that it now lives in a different room, and I probably should just take it back to the thrift store and someone else can have it. It's just a miserable pan. It's incredibly difficult to clean. That one is just a fail. I'm not even sure where I put it at this point. Cheese is all melty. I'm going to give us a quick blast with the broiler to see if I can't get any brown spotting on our cheese. And then I think we're going to pull it out. But yeah, I've got a good little collection. I've tried to not double up on things. So we don't really use the big giant pan, but I when I've done like a big steak, the big pan, that's what that's for. The Mom, hi Mom. Yeah, exactly. The rectangular grill line pan. Let's see if I can find it. I hate this freaking thing. Um, I hate it to the point where I put it somewhere and I forgot where I put it because I don't care. We're in the room of stuff, which is the most likely place for it to be. I don't know. But yeah, you know exactly what that one is. It's just kind of a miserable. It's just kind of a miserable thing. It's so hard to clean. It was incredibly difficult to season. I haven't been shouting at anybody today. So, Mom, you're getting shouted out. It was incredibly difficult to clean. When I got it, it was all like crusty and rusty too, so I had to strip it down in order to season it. Um, and that was just such a pain in the ass. Uh, yeah. Ooh, those are looking like they're doing something. Um, if you're not following Dinner with Mom, and Dad, don't forget about Dad. Also a cooking channel. Make some good things over there. Less wild experimentation than I do. Although I haven't been real experimental over the course of the winter here because I've been real busy. But like, good stuff. Um, I can't remember the last thing. What's the last thing? What's the last? I'm blanking. It's been a whirlwind. Um, but good. I'm honestly I'm blanking on the last thing I saw you make, which is weird because I'm pretty sure I rated you on that day, um, and stuck around. I'm just completely blanking on it. Um, I don't know where my cast iron grill pan is, but we don't need to know where it is. It's garbage. Let's check on those peppers because they should be just about done. Ooh, our cheese has brown spots, which is where I wanted to pull it. Ta freaking da. To frickin' da. Your work is nuts. See, mine is just calming down. We're coming out of the Christmas nonsense. I know you are in insurance or something like that. Something where, New Year craziness. Oh, they look really good. Putting extra cheese on top was a good call. I'm gonna let them stop actively bubbling before I pull one out. But they look really good. They smell really good too. They definitely have that kind of roast pepper smell. There's definitely going to be some char on there because I can smell that sort of roast charred. But they look really good. So once they've stopped actively sizzling in the bottom of the pan, we can pull one out. I want to split one of them for serving. I'll just take a picture now before I screw them up because they look really good in the pan. So we're gonna haul them over. We're gonna get the trivet out. We're gonna get this trivet out. Funny story. Quick fun story, because I have to cool anyways, I have time. This pot, this one we used to make the pasta today, that one. It's a nice tall stock pot with a lid. It was pretty cheap. I got it thrifty. In it, when I got it, with no additional price tag on it, was this trivet, which I think when it was delivered to the thrift store, this was inside of it and they thought it was a steamer. And I initially thought it was a steamer looking at it, but it doesn't quite fit. And also, this is not the kind of metal that I would put in with active cooking. It's just kind of a brass grid. So free trivet. Anyways, I'm going to put this trivet over on our camera station. And I'm going to take a photo. It probably is cast aluminum. It's probably aluminum brass. Because it's a little bit heavy for aluminum. Yeah, it's kind of too heavy for aluminum. But it doesn't look like it's painted. So most likely it's aluminum brass. So a little bit of copper in there. But we're going to take a picture of the peppers in the pan like this before I dig one out. And then we're going to come back. But anyway, yeah, I got it because I wanted the pot, and it was in it. Okay, let's get one of these out. I did get a little cheese pull just then, but not enough to really write home about. Hey, home, I got a cheese pull. Ooh, it's hot. It's hot. Whew, it's hot. Positioned this badly, didn't I? Gotta... Oh, it's very hot. There, now it's on the plate. Because now I can like push it around. It wants to stick together. The cheese is still kind of acting like a glue. Like so. And then a little bit of that. Should have put the salsa verde on first. Would have been easier. We're going to clean up that corner. that one. And we're going to take the correct lid for plating. And I think I'm going to skip the pickled onions. I think we have plenty of color going on. It looks good. Yeah, I don't think I need another splash of color. Let's take it over, take a photo plated, and dive in and see what we're working with here. Okay. Okay. I've already got a fork. I don't need another fork. I've already got a fork. A fork and a knife. And yeah, let's take a bite. No food survives first contact with the eater. Mmm. Mm-hmm. Very good. Look at it builds. It starts out pretty good. It's a little bell pepper heavy at the start. Shocker of shockers. I'm going to move this guy. It's a little bell pepper heavy at the start. I think using red for this helps a lot because it is more of a sweet note. The spiciness is very much tempered by the cheese, but it comes in late. So initially I was going to be, it's a little bit underspiced, but it comes in late. Ultimately, it's actually pretty spicy. Take another bite. It's got a good chew to it. The Satan, Hail Satan, has retained its kind of bouncy, sausagey texture. In a way that chorizo, like real pork chorizo, wouldn't have. I mean, ultimately, it tastes like cheese and peppers and a bunch of tasty seasonings. I'm not going to say this one blows my mind, but it was like pretty easy. I'm impressed with this stuff. Hey, surprise, I got another one. We can play with this stuff some more. Very much this is a comfort food thing. I actually really like the pasta. I think I like the pasta more than the rice. Because I've also in the past normally had this with rice. I think rice goes too soft. I like it having more texture, and I think the pasta holds up in that regard better. I think I agree with orzo instead of the longer pasta. given the other things that are in there. I think if I did a more deliberately chunky filling, then the larger pieces would work out. Turned out they were clearancing a bunch of this stuff, so I bought a whole bunch of them without knowing about them in advance because they were only $1. And look how much food I got out of it. What did our total? Gosh, if I was to price this one out, it was $1 for all 6 of those peppers. It was $1 for the packet of Satan chorizo. We used about 1/3 of that box of orzo, and that orzo is like $1.50 at most. And then 1 onion and like 1/3 of a head of garlic. I think with these other fillings, the fusilli would have been a little bit awkward. I think if I had like big chunks of meat and big chunks of onion, if I had made everything else chunkier. And then I also probably, that'd be good with like a sauce. If you filled up the hollowed out peppers with all the big chunks, and then poured over like an egg-based sauce to then bind it all in, or even like a milk and starch-based sauce, something that would work its way down in between the pieces. That'd be good, I think. I think for what we were doing, I think for what I ended up going with in terms of ingredients and technique, I think the smaller pasta works for the same reason that rice works. And I think the fusilli would have been a little bit too big. So, shop for the deals. The thing about shopping for the deals is you've got to know what to do with random ingredients. I know a lot of people look at stuff that's on sale and say, I don't know how to cook that. And me, personally, I take things that I either know how to cook because I know how to cook a lot of things, or I take things that I don't know how to cook, and then I figure out what to do with them. And a lot of the time, if you look up a recipe, you'll end up with, like, how to cook. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything, but something. It'll tell you to buy a bunch of other stuff, which then gets really expensive. But if you, it's a process of learning the techniques, learning how to utilize certain types of ingredients in cheap ways. For example, I got 6 bell peppers. I could use a bell pepper. These were already going wrinkly. By the time I got to the second one, they'd be more wrinkly. By the time I got to the third one, they'd probably be caving in. In fact, I've got one. Sometimes I throw bell peppers away because I don't quite get to them in time. I've got another one here. We didn't use this one. Still got the sticker on it. It's even wrinklier and it's developing a little spot. Now, I'm willing to cut that off and use it, but you got to use it. Seafood stuffed peppers. I think for seafood, I would go for some kind of a cream-based thing, and I think I would want to stuff it with surimi, imitation crab, because I think that stuff is sturdy. Otherwise, you would want a firm fish. I mean, the wrinkles don't bug me either way. The only thing that the wrinkly peppers do is when you go to cut them, they tend to sag in instead of slicing, so you kind of gotta nick them. I feel like if you did shrimp, you would want to put the shrimp in raw because shrimp overcooks very easily. And if you put it in already cooked, I think you'd end up with rubbery shrimp. Um, but it's difficult to check the inside of the peppers while they're cooking. You'd have to do temperature probes on them. Whereas I think surimi, and I would say the same for most of the firm fish. Um, is you wouldn't want they overcook very easily. So cooking them and then filling the pepper, you run the risk of making them go rubbery. So I would err on putting them in undercooked and then having them cook up with the pepper. Um, which is why I would go for surimi, because surimi is, first of all, can be eaten straight, and second of all, does not overcook very easily. Uh, it actually kind of softens as it cooks instead of firming up as the binders let go. Yeah, you can do lots of things. You don't have to have a primary starch in here. That you could fill this thing up with meat if you wanted. It'd be kind of weird. You probably would want to put a vent hole for grease to drip out the bottom if you did that. Um, that's the purpose of the starch, is to soak up any drippings. It's the same as purpose of putting the starch in a the same purpose as the pancakes in a beef Wellington. The same purpose as the rice at the bottom of a kulibiak. Um, the same purpose as the slice of white bread underneath your fried chicken. Anyways, we're rambling. I started rambling about other topics, and it's causing me to not eat this while it's hot. I think we're gonna wrap up and raid out. So let's see who's on. Um, I'm pretty confident in uh, dealing with raw shrimp and trusting that it will cook by the time I get to it. If you're not confident in that, then surimi is very versatile. Shrimp does sound tastier. I agree. Room and board is of course on right now. LaFay is on. LaFay is doing something. I was gonna say LaFay is cooking. LaFay is not cooking. That is a game. Um, Alana has been on for for 10 hours. Good lord, we're not. She's gonna wrap up soon, playing Blueprints, so she might not. Who knows? Um, where are we headed, guys? I think it's between LaFay and Room and Board. And if you don't decide quick, I'm deciding. Or JT. Yeah, I just saw him in there too. Yeah, okay. Let's go there. Haven't been there in a while. Haven't been there in a while. Um, pull up that camera. Also, I ran out of room when I was writing peppers. I got this far and I was like, oh, there's not enough room for that. Um, raid message. Oh, Ryu's already got it. Grab a raid message, your choice, to drop when we get there, and we'll all go say hi. He's making Jokon. We'll ask him how to pronounce it when we get there. Which is bubbling away on the side. So, yeah. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for bearing with my nonsense. We didn't have a lot of nonsense today. It was a pretty chill day. Um, yeah. I was mathing out how much I think this costs. I bet you the whole shebang here, $5 for 6 peppers. Pretty good. Bye.